All right, buckle up, because today on the deep dive, we're really getting into the weeds on stablecoins, specifically on layer one blockchains, the big networks like Ethereum or Tron, where these things actually live and operate. Our mission today, looking at the sources you sent over, is to pull out the key stuff on how these assets, people are calling them the new digital dollar economy, are changing DeFi. And it's not just about stability. It feels like there's this sort of quiet battle going on for what digital money looks like. We're talking a market that's just blown past, what, $260 billion as of this July?
Yeah, it's massive. And diving into those sources, one thing that really jumps out is this fundamental split. You've got your asset-backed stablecoins on one hand. People see them as stable, sure, but they come with centralization built in. And then on the other side, you have these algorithmic or maybe hybrid ones. They're aiming for decentralization, which is cool, but, well, they often seem riskier.
Okay, yeah, two very different ways of doing it. Let's unpack that a bit. What really defines these two main types? Why does it matter so much?
Well, first up, you have the backed stablecoins. Think Tether, USDT, or USD coin, USDC. They keep their value because they're supposedly backed by traditional stuff. Usually it's fiat currency, like dollars or maybe other real-world assets. And your sources show they dominate completely. We're talking like 85% of the total market cap, maybe 90% of trading volume.
Wow.
So yeah, people see them as reliable. But like I said, that introduces centralization and counterparty risk. You're trusting someone is actually holding those reserves.
Right. So if they utterly dominate but have these risks, does that mean the market's just picking safety over decentralization for now?
Interesting. So then what about the other approach, the more crypto-native one?
Exactly. That's where you get algorithmic or hybrid stablecoins, things like DAI or Frax or Athena's USDe. These use smart contracts, programmatic mechanisms, crypto collateral, all sorts of clever stuff to hold their peg to the dollar. The goal is real decentralization. Cut out the middleman, though, history shows they can be risky. We all remember Terra's UST, right? That was a big one. Yeah, definitely a cautionary tale. But that market dominance you mentioned, it's not totally fixed, is it? Let's zoom in on where these stablecoins live, because the distribution across different layer ones, that tells a really interesting story. Like Tron, for example, it's almost all Tether, USDT, over $80 billion. That's like 98.5% of its stablecoin market. Crazy.
It really is striking. Tron and Tether, it just shows that winner takes most thing you see in crypto sometimes. Liquidity attracts more liquidity. Makes it hard for others to break in. Ethereum, though, is still a major hub. It's much more diverse, lots of USDT and USDC, sure, but also newer things like Ondo's USDY, which is backed by different real-world assets, RWAs.
RWA backed, so not just dollars, but maybe T-bills, things like that.
Exactly. Things like treasury bills or other assets. So Ethereum's still a core place for issuance. They just minted another billion USDT there this July.
But you mentioned dynamics earlier, and yeah, things are definitely shifting. Look at Polygon. USDC transfers there surged, 141%? And the sources suggest users are moving from places like Chiron because the fees are getting too high. It really highlights how important scalability and cost are for attracting stablecoins, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Speed and low fees are crucial. That's why you see networks like Solana attracting USDC and BNB Chain grabbing USDT. Users follow the efficiency. And back on the algorithmic side, Ethereum is definitely the innovation center there, too. It hosts the big ones like DAI, that's got a $5.36 billion market cap. Wow. And Ethena USDe is really interesting. By February this year, it grew super fast to over $6 billion. It uses this synthetic dollar idea with delta hedging on state ether collateral.
Okay, hold on. Delta hedging. That's basically a complex way to balance risk using derivatives, right?
Sure.
Keep the peg without holding actual dollars.
You got it. It's a sophisticated financial engineering, basically, trying to create stability without relying on traditional banks.
Which brings up a good question. Why are these complex, riskier-seeming decentralized options still gaining ground, despite things like Terra UST?
I think it points to a real desire in the market to reduce dependence on the old banking system, to build something truly native to crypto.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture, this constant back and forth between backed and algorithmic, between different chains, what does it all mean?
Yeah, connecting the dots. It's like a constant tug of war, isn't it? The market, for now, leans towards the perceived safety of backed coins. You see in the numbers. But there's also this strong, persistent push for decentralized solutions. The crypto-native dream, sort of, and things like scalability and low fees. They're just table stakes now. You have to have them for adoption.
Yeah.
That's driving innovation across all these L1 networks.
And you can't ignore the regulators either. They're definitely circling, pushing for more transparency, more audits. That's going to shape how these things are built going forward, no doubt.
For sure. But ultimately, stablecoins are just fundamental to this whole digital dollar economy idea.
Yeah.
They're the rails, the conduits for moving value around. They're going to be essential in a multi-chain future.
So for you, the listener, thinking about all this, the tech, the market demand, the regulation, it leaves us with a kind of provocative thought, doesn't it? How is this growing demand for decentralized stability, combined with regulators maybe getting clearer on the rules, how will that fundamentally reshape stablecoins over, say, the next decade? What will they actually look like? Something to chew on until our next deep dive.